This is a story called The Little Monsters, Chapter 109. The kids tell their parents they're quitting school and refuse to go. It's Friday and the kids have been misbehaving at school all week. They've been constantly messing about by running round and in and out of the classroom, throwing things at each other and distracting the other kids, not just their class but other classes too. As a result of this, Mr. Grape gives them lunchtime detention and a 2-hour detention after school for a week. They refused to do this and left the school premises that day and didn't go back. Instead, they went to Kika's house even though they knew that their parents were there. When they got there, Kika's mum said to them, "Why are you kids home from so early? It's only 12:30 and school doesn't finish until 3 p.m. "We've quit school now, Mum, and we're not going back ever," answered Kika. "What do you mean you've quit school? You're only 13 years old. You're not allowed to leave school until you all get a leaving date during your final year. You know this, so I want you all to go back now, please," said Kika's mum. "Like I said, Mum, we've quit school and we're never going back," said Kika. "You'll do as you're told, young lady. Now get back to school at once," said Kika's mum. "No, we won't, Mum. We've made our decision and we're sticking to it." "Now we're going out," said Kika. "You're not going anywhere, any of you, until this is sorted out," shouted Kika's dad. "That's what you think, Dad," said Kika. Before any of the adults could do or say anything else, the gang ran out of the door. Excuse me. They grabbed their skateboards, jumped on their bikes and rode off. They knew their parents would come after them in their cars, so they went through the woods and made their way to the massive skate park they found when they pretended to have a tummy bug to get out of school. They stuck to their guns and never told anyone about it because they didn't want their parents to go looking for them there. That day they stayed there until 4 p.m. and then they went to a nearby cafe for their tea. After tea they went back to the skate park for about 2 hours. Then they cycled back to the hideout where they stayed until about midnight, and then they went back to Kika's house. They knew their parents would still be there, but they didn't care. When they walked in, Kika said to her parents, "We're having a sleepover tonight. If you guys don't like it, tough." They all went upstairs and Kika's dad went after them. He didn't want to wake up the little ones as they were all fast asleep in Ellie's room, so he quietly said to the gang, "Kika, go to bed now. The rest of you, go home with your parents. There's no sleepover here tonight or this weekend." Kika went to bed and the others went downstairs. Their mums grabbed them by their ears, took them outside and made them get in the car. When they got home, they were all sent to bed. The next day, when they got up, they were all told by their parents that whether they liked it or not, they were not quitting school. They were also told that they were grounded for a week, not to leave the house and to go to their rooms. However, as soon as their parents had finished talking to them, they walked out of their front doors, grabbed their skateboards, jumped on their bikes and met at the swing. Their dads got in their cars and went after them, but unfortunately they couldn't find them as they'd gone to their secret hideout. They stayed there for a while and then they went to the new skate park that they'd found. They stayed there for a couple of hours and then they went back to the hideout. After they'd been there for about 2 hours, Bumper said, "Hey guys, I'm not going home tonight, I'm staying here." "I'm not going home either. We need to let our parents see that we're serious about quitting school and that we're old enough to do as we please," said Kicker. "Too right we do. I'm not going home either," said Creeper. All the boys also said that they weren't going home either. The next day when they got up, they stayed at the hideout, and after lunch, they stayed at the hideout until after lunch, and then they went to the big skate park. They stayed there for 3 hours, and then they went back to the hideout for a few hours. By the time they got home, it was almost 9:30 p.m. and their parents were there waiting for them. They demanded to know where they'd been, but the kids just ignored them. The next morning, the kids got up and left the house long before the rest of their family did. They made their way to the hideout, but it was only 5:30 a.m., so they climbed into their sleeping bags and went to sleep until about 10:30 a.m. That day it was raining quite heavily, so they just stayed at the hideout playing games all day. When they left the hideout, it was around 4 p.m. and they decided to go straight to Kicker's house to play on her Xbox and PlayStation, even though they knew their parents would be there. When they got there, all their parents were in the dining room chatting. They didn't see or hear the kids go in, so the kids just went straight up to Kicker's games room. After about 2 hours, all the parents went home because the little kids were all really tired. Just after they left, Jane heard a noise coming from upstairs and she went up to see what it was. When she looked, the gang were all in Kicker's games room playing video games. She said to them, "How long have you lot been up here?" "Since about 4:15, Mum," answered Kicker. "So what have you kids got to say for yourselves?" asked Jane. Excuse me. "We're never going back to school, Mum. We're old enough to make up our own minds," said Kicker. "Oh, that's right, is it? Well, let's see what your dad has to say about this, shall we? Charles, can you come up here, please? These lot are saying that they're never going back to school and that they're old enough to make up their own minds." "Oh, that's right, is it?" asked Charles. "Yeah, it is, Dad," answered Kicker. Whilst Charles was dealing with the kids, Jane rang their parents to let them know that they were safe, and they came and picked them up. The next morning, the kids left incredibly early again and went to the hideout. They did this for almost 3 weeks, and then one day when they went back to Kicker's house, Mrs. Tinker was there waiting for them, and so was the truancy officer. Mrs. Tinker said to them, "Why have you kids decided to quit school? You know that you're not allowed to leave school until you're given an official leaving date during your final year. Besides, you kids are very bright and clever kids who, with the right qualifications, could go really far in life." "We're fed up and bored with school, miss," answered Stampy. Then the truancy officer said, "Do you realise that when you're playing truant from school, it's your parents who'll be punished as well as you kids? They could receive a fine for up to £4,000, and they could even go to jail. Is that what you kids want?" "No," answered the kids. That was just the wake-up call that the kids needed, and after that they went back to school. They caught up on all the work they'd missed, and they never bunked off school again. Oops, I lied. They played truant from time to time. I mean, If they turned into little goody two-shoes, they wouldn't be known as the Little Monsters gang now, would they? My guess is they'd probably be known as the Goody Two-Shoes gang. Now we all know that they're definitely not Goody Two-Shoes, don't we? Or do we? End of chapter 109. Thanks for watching, guys. Love yous. Bye.